Dear students, in this lecture we are going to talk about Samuel Johnson's biographical sketch titled Life of Milton. Dr. Samuel Johnson was a well-known poet, playwright, essayist, moralist, literary critic, biographer, editor, and lexicographer in English literature. His range of thought is limited and insular. He is a typical 18th century writer. His father was a bookseller and bookbinder. The profession of his father largely impacted on Dr. Samuel Johnson. He attempted teaching, but as he was of an ungainly figure and extremely nearsighted, indeed nearly blind in one eye, he was little suited to the employment. He was married to a widow by name Mrs. Elizabeth Porter. In 1747, Samuel Johnson began the great work of a dictionary of the English language. It was completed in 1755. His last work was The Lives of the Poets. So far as the literary contribution Dr. Samuel Johnson has given to English literature is noteworthy. His famous works are The Life of Admiral Blake, The Plan of English Dictionary, Essays in the Rambler, A Dictionary of the English Language, The Life of Ascham, The Fountains, which is a fairy tale, The Patriot, A Journey to the Western Island of Scotland, and a most famous biographical sketch titled The Lives of the Most English Poets. Dr. Samuel Johnson is regarded one of the chief exponents of the form of biography in English literature. His fame as a biographer rests mainly on the lives of the most English poets. The Life of Milton is Samuel Johnson's biographical piece. It is taken from his biography titled Lives of the Most Eminent English Poets. In this biographical sketch, there are short biographies and critical appraisals of 52 English poets, most of who lived during the 18th century. Most of the lives of the biographical sketch can be divided into three sections. One, a biographical sketch. Two, a brief character sketch. And number three, a critical section. Dr. Johnson's Life of Milton, in which he talks about Milton's life, critical appreciation of his literary contribution, and characteristics features of Milton as a poet. In the first section of the biography titled Life of Milton, Dr. Samuel Johnson deals with Milton's life. Milton was a well-known English poet in the Puritan era. At the age of 15, he caught one's eye and he becomes blind. He entered university with the intention of taking religious knowledge. He was changed his mind because his republican spirit could not have endured any kind of servility to Milton. He wrote Comus when he was 26 years of old. He wrote Lycidas and a pastoral elegy in English literature, at the age of 29. John Milton traveled to France and Italy, which provided him with many images, which is a source material for the composition of his poetic contribution. His memory recollected 20 years later when he was writing Paradise Lost. Around 50 years of age, blindness struck him when he had planned much but produced little. Milton admired Spenser, Shakespeare, a well-known playwright in English literature, and Cowley. The first named was his favorite poet, that is Spenser. So far as his literary contribution is concerned, John Milton has given a noteworthy contribution to English poetry in the form of writing poems. His famous poetic contribution includes a pastoral elegy, Lycidas, two twin poems titled El Allegro and Second Penseroso, The Mask, Comus, Paradise Lost, Paradise Regained, and Samson Agonists. Dr. Samuel Johnson criticized John Milton's poetic contribution in the second part of his biography, namely Life of Milton. Johnson's Life of Milton can be regarded as one of the most sources of his views on poetry. Milton, as one of the greatest English poets in the 18th century, given a contribution of poetic output, and hence for Johnson, the function of poetry is to please and instruct. He criticizes the poetic output of John Milton. The first poetic output of John Milton, that is Lycidas, which is fully criticized by Samuel Johnson in Life of Milton. Dr. Johnson denounced Lycidas, which is a pastoral elegy in 18th century English poetry. He criticizes Lycidas as one of the books which the reader admires and lays down and forgets to take up again. So the word forgets to take up again itself indicates that Johnson rejects or refuses or denounces Lycidas. Johnson finds nothing original, nothing originality in the first English elegy titled Lycidas. He states that there is only imitation of the classical mode with no change, and hence there is no any kind of originality in the work. The sentiments expressed in Lycidas do not suit the intimate relationship, for there was no close relationship at all. So Johnson thinks that there is no truth in the elegy and there is no originality at a large extent. Johnson was always against the pastoral form. Lycidas, which belongs to the pastoral form, is denied, is denounced by Dr. Samuel Johnson. He states that none would admire or be pleased with the elegy that Milton had contributed. He felt that the pastoral form of Lycidas was easy, vulgar, and therefore disgusting. The passion of the poem, according to Dr. Samuel Johnson, was also artificial, no any kind of originality and reality and truth. Johnson is against the use of blank verse and regards Milton's use of blank verse in Lycidas as a fault of the poem. And this fault makes Dr. Samuel Johnson to denies the originality of Lycidas. Johnson may be right in warning against the misuse of the pastoral form, but one cannot agree with him when he says that the form is artificial and unnatural. There is no naturality and there is no originality. Hence, criticism of Lycidas is vitiated by classical dogma, insensibility to imagination, and extra literary prejudices. One finds that Johnson is unduly severe in his criticism of Lycidas. Milton's second work, which is in the form of the twin poems representing two aspects or temperaments of one and the same mind, the gay and the melancholy, standing for El Allegro and second Penseroso, respectively. In this poem, John Milton, the cheerful man, is associated with the lark, the morning, the sound of the cock announcing the dawning of a day, the sound of horns and the barking of hunting dogs. He loves to see the rising sun, listen to the milkmaid's song, and partakes of every joy that rural scenes offer. John Milton has portrayed both gay and cheerful imagery, and they share nothing in the common except that music delights both of them, while tracing their lives to the end makes no provision. Second Penseroso of John Milton represents the Puritan ideals of life. Johnson comments that there is no mirth in his melancholy, but some melancholy in his mirth, which leads the reader to reflect on the poet's attitude to life. Hence, Johnson appreciates the beauty and music of these poems, but he disapproves of their mode of versification. Johnson praises the poem as noble efforts of imagination and that imagery is proper and pleasing. Dr. Johnson appreciates the imaginative mode of the poem and the prop and the imagery which is included in Second Penseroso and El Allegro. Johnson's third poetic work, which is Milton's third poetic work, titled Comus, which is criticized by Dr. Samuel Johnson, is also included in Life of Milton. Masque of Comus is the best of Milton's juvenile writing. He found the language, power of description, and the vigor of sentiment of Comus remarkable. There are many defectives, lacunae in the drama of Comus by John Milton. Dr. Samuel Johnson states that the action of the play for him is unconvincing and unreasonable. The story of Comus about the separation of the sister from her brothers and the consequences is not managed in a right perspective by Milton. While the sister is amidst Comus and his revelers, the brothers find time to pick berries. The second part that Johnson observes is that the prologue of the attendant spirit is addressed to the audience. The brother's reunion with the sister is without any emotional sensitivity, which is natural. It is in a mood of tranquility, what Johnson observes. Language, dialogue are good and passable. The soliloquies of Comus and the lady are considered by Johnson to be elegant but tedious. The characters which is mentioned in Comus by John Milton are bold, but the language is too luxuriant for dialogues. Johnson concludes by saying that Comus as drama is inelegantly splendid and tediously instructive. Milton's noteworthy contribution to English poetic world is Paradise Lost. Half of the essay is devoted to Milton's biography, highlighting the circumstances in which Milton wrote his Paradise Lost in the reign of Charles II. Paradise Lost is relatively free of Johnson's prejudices. The expression of the theme of morality in Paradise Lost is attractive and surprising according to Dr. Samuel Johnson. According to Johnson, an epic should have a great subject, a very important subject, and Milton had chosen the best possible subject for this epic. The purpose of Paradise Lost is to vindicate the ways of God to man. And this is praised because Milton advocates obedience to the will of God. The protagonists are dignified personages, are important personages, being the highest and the noblest of the human beings on the earth, that is, Adam and Eve. The other characters are angels in heaven and the fallen angels, chief of whom is Satan, the angel of God. The epic, which is divided in 12 books, traces the circumstances leading to the fall of heaven, the mutual recriminations of Adam and Eve, and their final exit from the heavenly place. The two fallen characters, namely Adam and Eve, are portrayed with dignity, honor, proper to their status, being the dignified personages, first of all created by God on a heavenly place. Dr. Samuel Johnson praises Paradise Lost and defends Addison's criticism of Satan. He says, Satan are offensive to a far-seer. The imagery seemed to be drawn from his knowledge of books than from real nature. The sentiments in the Paradise Lost suit the characters and the diction. Milton meets the requirements of appropriateness, consistency in every respect. Similes and metaphors are less numerous, but more various when compared to his classical predecessors, namely Homer and Bosie. What is more important that Dr. Samuel Johnson observed in Milton's Paradise Lost is moral element in the epic which surpasses all else before him. While talking about Paradise Lost, Dr. Samuel Johnson says that there the probable has been made marvelous and the marvelous probable. Johnson does not agree with John Dryden's view that Adam could not be the hero of the epic because he is crushed and debased. Dr. Samuel Johnson argues that Adam's deceiver is crushed in the end and he is restored to the favor of God. Dr. Johnson identifies three central lacunas in the epic. 1. Lack of human interest. 2. Faulty personification of sin and death. And last, inconsistent presentation of the spiritual beings. The epic, according to Dr. Samuel Johnson, comprises neither human action nor human manners. Apart from this, Dr. Samuel Johnson is also critical about the language and versification diction of Paradise Lost. In short, Paradise Lost of John Milton is a magnum opus poetic contribution which is fully criticized by Dr. Samuel Johnson in Life of Milton. Regarding Paradise Regained, Johnson pointed out that though it had many elegant passages and was always instructive to the readers, it was deficient in dialogues and action. The poem, in the long run, according to Samuel Johnson, was dull and tedious and failed to please the readers. It is very important to note that Samson Agonists, the important poetic output of John Milton, was for Dr. Samuel Johnson a failure as a drama. It has some beautiful passages and single lines, but its plot was loose, construction faulty, and the characters lacked unity. He praised Paradise Regained and Samson Agonist for his dramatic work. This is the second section of Dr. Samuel Johnson's Life of Milton. The third section of the biography, Johnson gives a balanced and judicious estimate of John Milton as a poet. Johnson says that Milton is not the greatest of the epic poets simply because he is not the first one in English poetry. Milton's language is peculiarly his own. It has no resemblances to any earlier writer of the English language in the common sense. However, Dr. Samuel Johnson observed Milton's language is sometimes highly Latinized. Johnson regards this as a fault. Moreover, Johnson praises Milton's diction for its copiousness and variety. He credits Milton's use of blank verse to the influence of the Italian writers. His blank verse has neither the ease of prose nor the melody of poetry. Johnson praises Milton's skill in handling the blank verse. Milton was active and vigorous, and his domestic habits were those of a devoted scholar. Johnson had doubts regarding Milton's political beliefs. Samuel Johnson was a neoclassical critic, and John Milton was of the Renaissance. Milton's earlier poems is prejudiced, and he praises Milton very reluctantly and grudgingly. In the last part of the biography, Johnson gives Milton his due praise and reverence, calling him an inventive genius. Milton borrowed very little from Homer, and his epic is the original work of his fertile mind and imagination. In short, Samuel Johnson's Lives of the English Poets marks an important development in the history of biography in English literature. Johnson's Life of Milton can be regarded as one of the best sources of his views on poetry in general and English poetry in particular. In his Life of Milton, Johnson provides a comprehensive account of the Milton's life by incorporating every possible details of his life besides providing important criticism of his greatest work.